My name is Jamon McKinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. Okay, in today's episode, I'm going to tick off some fan bases because today we're going over the most overrated teams heading into the 2020 NFL season. Who's the most overrated team in all of football? I've got 4 teams on the chopping board today. Let's get started. The number 1 overall most overrated team heading into the 2020-21 NFL season is number 1 overall, the Dallas Cowboys, aka the Dallas Cowgirls. Up next is the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 2. Number 3 is the Chicago Bears. And number 4 is the New Orleans Saints. Those are the 4 most overrated teams heading into the 2020-21 NFL season. Let's get right to it. Let's dive into why these teams are overrated. Let's start off with Dallas. Dallas is not a Super Bowl contender, okay? I'm sorry, Dallas fans. Quit waving your pom-poms. Quit getting your hopes up. You are not a Super Bowl caliber team. In fact, Las Vegas has Dallas slated as the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl. Oh, that's so funny because Dallas, let me tell you something right now. You have the 6th best odds according to Las Vegas to win the Super Bowl. In reality, guess what? You're not even arguably one of the 6 best teams in the NFC, let alone one of the 6 best teams as far as odds to win the Super Bowl. They may not even be a top 6 team in the NFC. Tampa's better. Green Bay is better. New Orleans is better. Philadelphia is better. Seattle's better, okay? The 49ers are better. There are several teams in the NFC better than Dallas, in my opinion. Now, Dallas is a good team, but they're not a great team. That's why they're the most overrated team in all of football. Listen, Dallas, you were an 8-8 football team last season in the worst division in all of football. The Dallas Cowboys could not win a division with the dysfunctional Washington football team, with the terrible New York football Giants, and with the Philadelphia Eagles last year dealing with injuries all over their roster. They couldn't win the division. They were the most talented team in that division, and this year they will fail and they will not win the division. They won't even come close to being a Super Bowl caliber team this upcoming season. This defense is just not that good. Where's the pass rush going to come from? Is it going to come from DeMarcus Lawrence, who had a very disappointing season last year? Couldn't really get to the quarterback. Not to mention, you lose Robert Quinn, who was your leading sack getter last year. I know you replaced him with Everson Griffin, but there's a reason why Everson Griffin was available at this point in free agency. Why was Everson Griffin not just automatically targeted by all these teams? Why was he not getting a big-time contract from NFL teams this offseason? Oh, because he's a good player, but not a great player. Also, Dallas's issues in the secondary cannot be ignored. That secondary is doo. I don't think they have a shutdown quarterback at all. They will get exposed in their secondary this season. Quentin Dix can't tackle. Okay, Awuzie, is he your best quarterback? Yeah, good luck. Good luck in that division. Good luck in the NFC competing. Is Jordan Lewis your best quarterback? I like him, but he's not a number 1 quarterback. Trevon Diggs, I liked him a lot out of Alabama, but there's a reason why Trevon Diggs dropped to the 2nd round. He had some issues. Is Trevon Diggs ready to be the number 1 defensive back on this team as a rookie with no preseason games, with not a normal offseason? I don't think he is. I don't think Dallas's defense is all that great. At linebacker, yeah, you have some good players in Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, but if you don't have a great pass rush and you have a bad secondary, you're not going to thrive in the NFL. And when it comes to Dak Prescott in this offense, of course they're going to score some points. Dak Prescott is not a bad quarterback. He's a decent quarterback. You got Ezekiel Elliott. You got good wide receivers. The offensive line should be good, but let's not forget, the Dallas Cowboys lose Travis Frederick, who's the quarterback of that offensive line. Tyrone Smith is a year older and has been dealing with injuries the past couple years. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line is not the Dallas Cowboys offensive line from several years ago. It's a good unit, but not a great unit anymore, in my opinion. And listen, Dallas last year, they could not beat good teams. They couldn't. They lost to virtually every playoff team that they played last season outside the Philadelphia Eagles. And when they had to beat Philly when it mattered most, they couldn't do it. And Carson Wentz was out there throwing the deck chairs and lawn furniture, okay? Philadelphia was not as talented as Dallas last year, and Philadelphia still won the division. Dallas cannot be trusted. They lost to the Bills last year. They lost to the Packers last year. They lost to the Patriots last year. They lost to the Saints last year. They lost to every good team they played. They feasted on the weak. They feasted on the Redskins last year, who are now the Washington football team. They feasted on the Giants. They feasted on these bad teams. When they played the good teams, they could not live up to the hype. Dak Prescott does not perform well versus good teams. Dallas is a good team that could potentially make the playoffs as a wild card, but they are not close to Super Bowl contenders, and I'm not sold on Dallas. Up next is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not sold on the Steelers. In fact, a lot of Steelers fans just think that because Ben Roethlisberger is coming back this year, because they don't have to deal with Doug Hodges and Mason Rudolph at quarterback, they're going to be a playoff team, but I don't see it. I think that Pittsburgh is vastly overrated. Sure, the Pittsburgh Steelers maybe have a top 5 defense this year. Last year, statistically, the Steelers had the 5th best defense as far as points per game allowed last season. I get it. You got guys like Minka Fitzpatrick. You got guys like TJ Watt. You got guys like Devin Bush. I understand the defense should be a very good unit, but this offense is not very good. Listen, you can't blame having the 27th ranked offense solely on Mason Rudolph and Doug Hodges. Listen, Pittsburgh is not very dynamic on offense. I don't think they have a dynamic running game. I don't think their weapons are all that great. I think they're good weapons, but not great weapons. And I think that Ben Roethlisberger might be over the hump. Let's start with the weapons. Juju Smith-Schuster might barely be a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL right now. I understand that Juju Smith-Schuster, didn't have the best quarterback play last year, but Juju, if anything, last year proved that he is not a number 1 wide receiver. I think that Juju Smith-Schuster is among one of the best number 2 wide receivers in all of football, but he ranks among the lower tier as far as being a number 1 wide receiver. Last year, Juju Smith-Schuster only had 552 yards. I understand that you have guys like Deontay Johnson, who I like a lot, but I don't think defensive coordinators are staying up at night to say, hey, Deontay Johnson, man, we got to stop him. I don't think they're doing that. I really don't. Now, when you look at a guy like Chase Claypool, I understand that he has some talent, and I understand the Steelers fans are excited about that draft pick, but he doesn't have any preseason games to get ready for the rigors of the NFL this year. These rookie wide receivers and rookies overall are not going to have normal off seasons, okay? They won't have preseason games to get ready for the rigors of the NFL. Are we sure Chase Claypool is going to be about that life this year? I'm not so sure. You look at a guy like Eric Ebron, who you guys signed this year. Steelers fans are so excited about Eric Ebron, except Eric Ebron, throughout his entire career, has underachieved and never had a 1,000-yard season. He's never accumulated over 1,000 yards for a single season in his career. He's not a difference maker. And now Steelers fans tell me they're excited about James Conner. And I'd say to them, for what reason? First of all, he can't stay healthy. He didn't play all 16 games last year. He averaged a whopping 4 yards per carry last year. He had a whopping 464 yards last year. Come on now, people. Pittsburgh doesn't have a dynamic running game. I think that Ben Roethlisberger is going to disappoint at quarterback this season. I know Ben Roethlisberger has won 2 Super Bowls. I know that he's a bona fide Hall of Famer. But last time we saw Ben Roethlisberger in a full season playing games, all 16 games, he missed the playoffs and led the league in interceptions, okay? Ben Roethlisberger that season tied with the 0-16 Cleveland Browns, who were 0-16 the previous season. He was throwing red zone interceptions to lose the game in the red zone in the final couple minutes versus the Denver Broncos, okay? Ben Roethlisberger, I understand that he had 5,000 yards and over 30 touchdown passes the last time we saw him in a full season, but listen, that's when he had Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, who's a very good pass-catching running back, on his roster. He doesn't have anyone as close to as good as those guys on this roster anymore. And last year, Ben Roethlisberger was at 56% completion percentage, 56.5% completion percentage, 0 touchdown passes, and 1 interception, and a 66 pass rating in the 2 games he started. He wasn't very good when he actually started last year. And Ben Roethlisberger is 38 years old, coming off a major surgery. 4 of Ben Roethlisberger's 16 seasons have been spent playing 16 games, meaning 12 of Ben Roethlisberger's 16 NFL seasons, he's found some way to miss a game due to injury. So, not sold on the Steelers at all. Now, Chicago. Chicago, you think that Nick Foles is going to solve all your problems. Similar to how Steelers fans think that Ben Roethlisberger is going to solve all of their problems. And that's not the case. Nick Foles is the same guy that has done nothing outside Philadelphia. This guy, Nick Foles, has done nothing outside Philadelphia. In 2015 with the Rams, he went 4-7 as a starter, and he threw more interceptions than touchdown passes that year. In Jacksonville, Nick Foles did not win a single game and got his spot taken by Gardner Minshew. Not to mention, he was average with the Chiefs. And you mean to tell me Nick Foles is going to come to a team and work magic with the 22nd ranked offensive line according to Pro Football Focus for this upcoming season? They have the Chicago Bears as the 22nd ranked offensive line. You mean to tell me outside of Allen Robinson, he doesn't have a really great overall weapon, and Allen Robinson has struggled to stay healthy over the last couple of years? I don't think Chicago has great weapons at wide receiver or tight end. You mean to tell me that his running back is Tariq Cohen, who's a gadget guy, and David Montgomery, who didn't do much as a rookie last year? The Chicago Bears had the 6th worst rushing attack last season. I'm not sold on Chicago, and not to mention, Mr. Trubisky just looks lost out there. I'm not going to spend too much time on Trubisky. We all know that Trubisky, at this point in his career, is a borderline bust that really disappointed last season, and I don't think Trubisky or Foles are being put in positions to succeed because they don't have a lot of talent at their disposal on offense. So, it's a mess in Chicago. That defense can only do so much. Last but not least, the Saints. Now, just because you're overrated doesn't mean you're a bad team. The Saints are not a bad team. They can win 10 games this year. I won't be shocked if they win this division. However, I don't think they win the South. And I only think the Saints win about 10 games this year. A lot of people think New Orleans might be the favorites to win the NFC, and I just don't see it. Drew Brees, at this point in his career, is on a pitch count. And I've been told this by a guy that has some insight into the New Orleans Saints organization. And they have told him that Drew Brees is on a pitch count. And when you look at Drew Brees the last couple of seasons, late in the season, his production has gone down, okay? The last time we saw Drew Brees play in a full season, in which he played in 15 games in 2018, in weeks 12 through 15, Drew Brees threw 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions and had an average pass rating of 83.7. Drew Brees, at this point in his career, has limitations as a thrower. The Saints do not push the football down the field. They're not a big play offense, and we've seen in the playoffs, the Saints get exposed. You can beat the Saints if you run the football and keep Drew Brees off the field. If you have a good offensive line and give your quarterback protection, we've seen in the past that secondary can be exposed. You can move the football versus the Saints, okay? If you're aggressive, if you run the football, if you bracket Michael Thomas, you can knock off that Saints team. And while Tampa Bay, we don't quite know what Tom Brady is going to bring to that team, that's the fascinating part about it. We don't know what Tom Brady and Tampa are going to bring to the table. So I believe there's going to be a surprise element to the Buccaneers this season. And listen, I just think the Saints' window is closed as far as their opportunity to win a Super Bowl. I believe Tampa is just a better overall team at the moment. And listen, Tom Brady actually still throws the football down the field. The Patriots did not have issues as far as Tom Brady having the arm strength to push the football down the field last year in New England. Last year, the problem for the Patriots was they didn't have the wide receivers to help out Tom Brady. And I think that Tom Brady, with great weapons, is going to light the world on fire in Tampa. I don't think New Orleans is the best team in that division. And honestly, I pick teams like Green Bay and even Seattle over New Orleans just simply because I trust Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson over Drew Brees at this point in their careers, okay? So I don't think the Saints are all that great. They're an overrated team. Not saying they're a bad team, But as far as looking at the Saints as maybe the best team in the NFC this year and just automatically thinking that they're going to win their division this year, not so sure about that. So there you have it. Those are the 4 most overrated teams heading into the 2020-21 NFL season. Number 1 is the Dallas Cowgirls, the Dallas Cowboys, aka. Number 2 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 3 is the Chicago Bears. And number 4 is the New Orleans Saints. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.